known as one of the best gaming tablets on the market today. And not only that, phenomenal for things like watching media, YouTube movies, and even for general tablet users, although it might be a little overkill for that. So today we're going to be doing an unboxing, taking a look at the specs and design, doing some benchmarking tests, and trying it out on one of my favorite games to see how this stacks up to real world use. So if you're ready, let's dive right into unboxing the Tab S2. Now, if you guys have been watching my recent videos, you'll notice that I've been on the search for a decent gaming-focused tablet. Now, I say that because I'm not just interested in solely gaming on the tablet. However, I recognize that if it can game well, it also means it can function well when you start utilizing different apps at the same time and things like that. So, gaming is just a great way to determine how well it handles a complex process and also graphics. Nice, so I'm going to get to that in a second. There's the tablet right on top. Let's see what's inside the box before we get too gung-ho. Got this nice tab here, boink. Nice, so I got the version that comes with the booklet cover. So you get this nice cover with it, and it's got that magnetic strip there, nice and thick here, and of course it's got that different positioning you can do. And they got it labeled right there in case you can't figure it out. That's great. Nice, this is pretty solid. All right, you got your quick start guide, your manual, your key there, and your paperwork, standard stuff. You got your standard Samsung charger and cable there, and I believe that is the entirety of the box. Yes, it is. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Let's get this guy open. Boom. Boom. Beautiful, that's nice. Now this is the 9.7-inch version. It's got that Super AMOLED display or AMOLED display, and this is the one that has a resolution of 2048 by 1536. And I'll say, first impression, it's just that. It's beautiful. I can see how they're really going for that sleek design. In fact, check this out. If we can just compare this. Here's my Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. I mean, it's just as thin as that remarkably thin phone. In fact, slightly thinner. Slightly thinner. Alright, so I charged it off camera so you don't have to watch all that. But what we got inside this guy is an octa-core processor, basically 4 at 1.8 gigahertz and 4 at 1.4 gigahertz. Essentially, it's kind of like the Note 4 phone, except with more RAM. 3 gigabytes of RAM to be precise. And that's actually a pretty decent setup for a tablet. And that's one of the reasons why this is considered one of the best gaming tablets out there today. Now, what's interesting to me is they put on here a 2.1 megapixel camera on the front-facing side. And that really is just borderline for FaceTime and Skyping. That's really the bare minimum there, and really for pictures, you're not gonna make anything good out of that. Now on the front side, you've got an 8 megapixel camera, and that's pretty decent for a tablet. Just keep in mind, most people aren't using their tablets as their main camera system anyways, so I'm not gonna give them too much flack for not amping up the megapixels and the quality of their cameras here. But we will test that out. Now before we move on and I go through setup off camera, I wanna just talk about how this feels in your hands. It's very light. That 5.6 millimeter thinness is very impressive just to the hands. They just love to grasp this and hold it. It feels like you're in Minority Report with that thin plastic, see-through device they had. It feels like it's getting closer and closer to that, and that's very impressive. They got that metal trim that adds a lot to it, and they even have this shiny little metallic flare on the edge, just to give that nice accent to the whole system design, and of course on the button itself. And that right there is truly impressive. And of course, whenever a company these days increases technology like this, where they try to make it thinner and sleeker and more impressive in that respect, there's always something that's lost in performance. In this case, it's really the battery life that suffered. You get a 5,870 milliamp hour battery in here, which is fine. It's gonna do just fine for normal uses, but you're not gonna be able to leave this lying around with normal use for days and days and days without charging. One of these days, I'm thinking something will pop in technology that will allow that, but for now you're going to see this kind of progression pretty typically. And I would hope to see in the next wave of Samsung tablets an increase in battery life to make it less of an issue for daily charging or remembering to charge your tablet all the time, it would seem. To us, it seems that way, right? All right, well, I'm going to jump through setup and we're going to go do a benchmark test. All right, now the first thing to me when I turn on this device is the impressiveness of this screen. That Super AMOLED display is not only a low battery consuming screen, but at the same time, look how bright it can get. And they've really worked this time around, Samsung that is, on getting the colors more accurate, to get it right this time. So that's really giving you the accuracy from it and the vibrancy that you would expect out of a newer high-end device. And this right here is just like ice cream or candy for your eyes. It's very beautiful to look at, and the vibrancy I really don't think can be replicated through a lens. It really doesn't do it justice unless you see this in person. And I can see why this ranks so high with playing video games and watching videos on. Because really when it comes down to watching those high definition videos online or playing those high definition games, it really comes down to your device and if it can actually replicate that through the screen for you. All right, here we go. We're going to run the Antutu benchmark test, one of my favorite tests out there. And I guess I didn't really mention exactly how much this weighs. But in case you're wondering, 389 grams is the weight of the 9.7-inch model of this Tab S2. And that's why it's so impressive in your hand when it comes to the sleekness and weight. Pretty darn light. And there you can see the performance when it comes to visuals. This is actually going to be live rendering, and you're going to see it go through a couple of these. I won't go through the whole test with you, but I just want you to see not only the vibrant colors that come from this screen when it's in its brightest capacity, but also how easily it can go through this extremely complicated. I mean, this is all live shadowing throughout this entire 3D environment. And this is why when it comes to gaming, when it comes to watching movies or YouTube videos or anything that you might like to do on this tablet, this is a phenomenal option. It's why it's up there easily in the top 5. Now it's funny, I remember this one on the Lenovo. It literally could not handle it. It couldn't do any of this, but that was expected because it doesn't have nearly the hardware that the S2 has. All right, here we go. Our final Antutu score is a total score of 81,282, which is phenomenally better than the Lenovo 10 Tab, but at the same time not as great as even some smartphones on the market. Keep in mind, smartphones are pretty compact packages. Like, many cost quite a bit more than this tablet does. But that score of 81,282 is compiled off of totaling its other scores as far as RAM, CPU, UX, and 3D. To give you some context, my Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge, for example, would score a total of around 84,000, just slightly beating this tablet when it comes to CPU and the UX. Now, if you want to see the individual scores, you can see them there. The nice thing about Antutu is they tend to do a lot of testing and post it, except they're more focused on smartphones than they are on tablets. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to play a little Dawn of Titans, and the reason why is it's one of my favorite games for one, and two, the great thing about this is it's designed to be a graphically impressive game, and it is going to be a little demanding when it comes to if your tablet or phone can actually perform actions while it's doing the intensive graphics. And they've kind of made it so it automatically detects the system's ability, and so it'll knock down its graphics or amp them up based on what you're playing it on. So in this case, I expect it to be quite impressive. So let's wait and see. And then the real question is, how will it respond during gameplay? Oh, I gotta log in, hang on. All right, we're back and rolling. I love the colors on this tablet. Man, woo, it's so bright. Even on the S6 Edge benchmarks higher, but I have to say it looks more impressive on this large 9.7-inch screen. All right, so the first thing I'm kind of curious about is, with this intensive graphics, how can it render with this side sweeping motion? Actually looks a little choppy there, hang on. That's better. Maybe it's just how I was using my fingers. No, a little choppy. Huh. Alright, let's try a little battling. Oh, hang on, we gotta get this volume right. There it is. Now, I have it topped out, and I'm kind of curious how it's going to handle these battle noises, because sometimes speakers on tablets cannot handle that. We'll pull in some spell effects here. Yeah, I think it does the same thing on my phone. It's supposed to be a phenomenal phone, the S6 Edge, but it lags to commands, and I think it's just, the game is just so intensive, or maybe it's some of the programming, I'm not sure. But it tends to lag on the load screen there. That always lags. And commands like loading the spells lag. It's the same thing on my S6 Edge. I'll be curious if I get an even more powerful tablet, if that would be even better than this. I'm not sure. Alright, we're going to get ambushed here. Pretty sure. I'm kind of curious about this, though. Oh, yeah. That's nice. How about if we get close to the action? A little laggy on the command there. What are you doing back here? Get in there. Get in that fight. Where's he going? This dude's just crawling around. Yeah, look at that. That's all I was hoping this wouldn't do for gaming is when I swing the screen, I don't want it to get choppy at all. It needs to be completely smooth. Completely. Okay, so I'm going to say that's about what I would expect because it benchmarks slightly lower than my phone. So, I can't expect it to perform better when it benchmarks lower, right? But I was hoping it would do less choppiness than my phone. I don't know, I was hoping on a dream. But there you have it. It's basically the same as my S6 Edge. Now, what I do like, though, is that this screen, the AMOLED screen, is far more impressive to the naked eye. This is way better looking than what I've been looking at on my phone. So it's very pretty, and I give it high marks for that. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 for its graphics, its prettiness there, and I'm going to give it more of a 8 out of 10 for performance on Dawn of Titans, which is a graphic intense game with a lot of small moving people and parts in it, and special effects, of course. All right, you heard a little bit of audio there, but when it comes to audio on this device, it's pretty good. Although I would say when it comes to comparisons with the other one I just looked at, that Lenovo 10, for example, in that video, the audio is about the same as far as quality. Those Dolby speakers on that were basically just as quality, and they got about as loud. And that's one of the complaints I've seen about this is they say that it could be a little louder. But honestly, I don't expect a lot to come from the small speakers within a tablet. And I'm not sure what people are hoping for, maybe full surround sound or something like that. But to me, it's perfectly adequate. It's impressive enough to be something you would expect out of a device at this price level. So I think the speakers are fine. They don't blow me out of the water or anything, at least not like this screen does. All right, now it's not a very flattering day out here today because the sunshine is hidden away. But I always like to do this where you can hear the audio pickup from the tablet itself. This is the tablet's microphone picking up my talking right now. And also you can see how it looks to take just raw footage from the tablet itself. Of course, tablets as they are very difficult to hold steady. I'm doing my best. Doing a double arm brace to my chest right now. And it's not designed to be your video camera, but it can capture video. And what I'll do after this is I'll just throw in some shots from outside and inside to kind of give you an idea of what the front camera, this is the front camera, what it can do for photography. Alright, now here's that 2.1 megapixel back cam, and as you can see, it's a camera. It'll do its job, and I think it's impressive compared to, distant past technology. But as you can see, it's not something you would utilize for photography per se. But it's perfect for Skyping. It's perfect for FaceTime and things. Oh, UPS. All right. But not for much more than that. All right, and there you have all the camera goodness on the Samsung S2 with all its autofocusing, right? Fantastic stuff. Nothing compared to the Sony a6000, though. Now, of course, you also have a host of sensors on here, including the fingerprint sensor on the front on that button there, accelerometer, a gyro, a compass, things you might expect out of your tablet these days. Really, I would say this, if you're on the fence between this tablet and something like it that's a competitor, it really comes down to, do you like the Samsung style? And I personally, having a Samsung S6 Edge, do like that clicky button. I love that click home button. I hate it when they get rid of that thing. I love that. I do like the placement of the volume, and I do like the placement of the power button. It just works well for me. And really, the last piece of the puzzle that really makes sense for me, which a lot of tablets are answering the call today, is memory. Right now, I don't want you to charge me up the wazoo for memory, and that's kind of Apple's issue, although I do love Apple products as well. But the Apple issue is they want to charge you up the wazoo for memory. This guy has 32 gigabytes of memory, which is not sufficient for me. That's not enough. But it does have that micro SD expansion slot. And because of that, it's great, because you can basically put in 128 gigabytes up to that in expansion, and that is enough. 32 plus 128, that's enough for me. And hopefully that'll continue that trend as things get larger in file size and technology advances. That'll continue to be expandable, hopefully, because that's always a great way to go. You don't have to sell the device at the upper price, and at the same time, I can decide as the consumer to expand my memory when I want to. Beyond that, in case you're wondering, yes, of course, it has a headphone jack, and it does have the micro USB port there. But beyond that, it's as you would expect from a tablet from Samsung and how it operates and how it behaves. There's definitely some great aspects to it. Besides that, as far as functionality in here, there's been some updates to the operating system that have allowed it to be better at power saving, and that's really the big issue with the thinness in the battery, is can it save power? And it very much so can. Even me going through all those tests and playing with its brightest screen for a couple hours here, it hasn't lost that much battery load in what I would consider heavy use of the tablet at this point, where I'm trying to use the RAM to its max capacity over and over again. So pretty phenomenal when it comes to functionality, and they did a great job at the style with this tablet. Alright, there you guys go, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S2. It's got high marks for me, very impressive right out of the box with style. There's a little bit of sacrificing performance for the style, but ultimately when it comes down to the value you're getting, the amount you're getting for the amount of money you're spending, this is a home run. It's a clear winner. So I'm impressed by it. I'm definitely going to keep it around for my gaming. I love the way Daunted Titans looks on it. I can't wait to check out some other games on it and this AMOLED screen. It's truly impressive with a game that's focused on intensive graphics. Now, if you're interested in this tablet for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below so you can check it out. Beyond that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and to comment. Let me know what you think of this tablet or any other tablet out there for that matter. I'm always on the hunt for the next, the best, the brightest. And don't forget to tune in next time to Drive By Reviews.